Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hi, I'm Karamjeet Kaur, your self-love specialist. Nice to meet you again. How are you? And how's loving yourself process has been well established in you? Okay, this month topic is mistake and failures is never a judgment to define your ability forever. Before I start, thank you so much to Gurdwara Sahib Supanjaya and Joy Club for giving me this platform. I really truly appreciate always for the wonderful, amazing opportunity I'm getting, and thank you so much for it. Okay, why am I choosing mistakes and failure is never a judgment to define your ability forever. I believe that everyone knows we are surrounded by ourselves, of course, family and friends, always have a say to anything that we do, you see. So even our own self, right? We have this critical self-talk in the mind that we keep bickering in the mind, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Sometimes we make a decision along the way that creates this bickering that makes us believe that we are not good enough. I was talking about previously about the belief pattern inside your mind. So the belief pattern, why I'm emphasizing is like what you believe is what you are. That's because that if you can forgive yourself and forgive other people for the mistakes or failures that has happened, or repeatedly, sometimes it happens due to some reasons. So you have to look inside that what is actually the barrier inside you. Now, mistakes is, to me, the meaning of mistakes is sometimes you're doing something out of rush, or it's a new thing, or it suddenly happened. So anyone can do mistakes at any time, right? But sometimes these mistakes gives a judgment tag by the people around you or by your own self too. And when you keep having this mistake, then you start believing, oh, how stupid I am, oh, how clumsy I am, right? So these are the words will start popping up inside you. When these words start popping up inside you, so the judgment becomes very strong. The belief of that words and impression that you have in yourself or another person becomes stronger. And guess what? That will lead to the emotion of defect inside you that you feel that, yeah, they are right. Yeah, I am like that. And it comes with followed with attachment of a feeling that it's a not nice feeling, and it's a very negative. When it's not nice feeling and it's, let's say it's repeated, that becomes a very strong neuron belief pattern, which will lead to unforeseen certain things. Could be like for long term, it would be a very negative impact on the self by creating a more irritational or higher level of negative emotions, and also the thought patterns and severity of depression, anxiety, and also more on the physical of like some pain start appearing. Now, this fact is like I've always asked you to please always look out, find out what is our body cells response to in life that makes them feel good, happy, and healthy. Okay, so that's what we're talking about mistakes. Now, let's see about failures. Now, failures is something that when you have a dream or a goal to look on, right? So when you have a dream, a goal to look on, so along the way, you have a stepping stone to move, which is, we all know you got to move. But some of us like, oh, I'm very tired. I don't think so that I'm able to pull through this. I don't think so that is something that could do it again, But here's the thing. Many of us, many of us for generations have forgotten the truth about our power. So we always believe that one time you fail, two time you fail, three time you fail, it means you're good for nothing. it means you are not this. It is a tag against that appearing, and that leads to the other factor of judging, which leads to bigger negative emotions, which leads to anxiety, all those negative impacts that we have in our lives. And then we start blaming, yeah, this is what is life about. And I'm telling you, this is not what life about. You have the power to think differently, to create differently. Not every words that we speak and think about is a reflections of our own body and mind. So our Guruji's been explaining in our Shabad, Guru Granth Sahibs, because the importance of the prayers towards for us is to let go what we have brought in a box context in ourselves, and to receive the divine love, to be more feel cherished and loved. Here is what, I'm sure that all of you will understand and agree, that even though when we do our prayers, even though we work on the positivity, there's always a feeling, yeah, right, I'm like that. It's a fixed mentality that makes the person shows that this is what I am. And here am I telling you, no, that's not what you are. The truth of who you are is the purity of love, the purity of honest being, the purity of being pure, the purity of being happy. And when this purity and being happy and pure that moves along with us, we start creating in more and more and more in life. Many have these tendencies of like, once there is a biggest failure or mistakes, embarrassment, followed by guilt and outcasted, whatever the negative emotion, then that it goes down and down and down. It's very difficult to rise. So when you start aging, as we age along the way, that is where our body start deteriorating based on what emotions we are carrying, what are the contexts we have belief on ourselves, what are the emotions that we look in life, how we perceive life is all about. Now, all this works on in this big box that's called the ability of being who you are. Now, the ability I mean is not only in the physical level, but it's the ability based on your emotions, that you have the power to change your emotion. You have the power to change the way you think. You have the power to change your perceptions of life. It's not that another person that judge you who you are, and that's it. It's you are a fixed person, or based on that judgment, whether it's a singular or plural or groups or society, whatever. No. You gotta believe that the ability to have is the fearlessness that has already existed in us. And that's where the power of our Guruji's prayers to help us to walk through that. We will walk through these mistakes and failures along the way. Failures of choosing someone in our life. Failures of doing a different studies that doesn't align us. Failure of going a different... These failures doesn't make you being lack of who you are. It's because it's bound to happen, so you will understand what is behind the door of failure. And that makes you stronger and creates a more ability of greater power within you. Well, the other thing that is very important that I want to say is ability is actually from is a skill that lead by process of activity of thoughts, actions of thoughts, feelings, emotion in your belief actually. That's my belief system. See, ability is like when you want to sharp a knife, so it's like the process is how much that you do regularity a bit, the discipline of process. Similarly is the way you think about yourself, the way you have the boundary of healthiness of receiving the perceptions from others. It is very easy actually, but the process to continuous that's the difficult part of every human being to understand that, and also to action it. You're bound to have there's always some things comes on when you walk through that, because I'm talking from experience until today. But here's what I learned. confidently that the more you understand the power of affirmations, the more you understand the power of belief, the more you understand that the truth of life, of energy, who you are and what you are, you can just walk through. Even during the worst pains of your life, when you have the strength to keep repeating the good about you. And that's the most important part. So I'm going to share a bit of what self-love relates to judgment. And some of you would have read this book, okay, My Truly Love Within. So the chapter of what I'm going to share here is chapter 1, understand and exercise the basic impulse of self-love. So what I'm going to explain what the judgment does in self-loving yourself and your ability, okay? Judging self and others is the main barrier within that separate us from knowing our true self truthfully. We have thoughts that on a constant basis give ideas and perception, which does turn to judgment. These judgment thoughts can be damaging and uplifting. It all depends on self-love in you and in the environment. So it is important to learn to fully understand self through self-love. As you love yourself unconditionally, they're only good thoughts to bring better perception and idea of your perceiving around you. This will help you to create a better life for you and your contribution to the environment. Loving self is to understand further depth of difference of your love perception around us and within. How does love inside play the important role, and what does fear creates the continuous plays the game of illusion? These are the questions of your self-awareness, activity, and practice in you all the time. Today's talk is just to let you know that do not allow of your own mistakes or the decisions that create something that you feel you totally regret about it. And failures makes you fixed about who you are, about your ability. You're more than that, trust me. And the more than that meaning is you got to go within to understand how deep you are with the love. And this love I'm talking is about you and your divine inside you. Because the more you engage your inner communication inside you, the more you understand the existence of divine love that creates a greater path for you and helps you to remove the resistance of creating what you want in life. The only thing that you need to remember is always work on inside you to see that how can you align yourself to that power inside you. And you got to give the freedom of that allowing to happen. Do not fix your mind to believe that you're lacking of ability. That is the main crux of today's topic. Because your ability is not defined at all in any that has happened in the past. Defined by the negativity, but it's defined with the way you respond of the positiveness toward it. And I'm going to emphasize this, a negative emotions or negative way of how things has happened to you, that's only a stepping stone to enhance and expand your ability in the best of being who you are. Okay, because it's very important that I know most of us is very regular that single small thing that we happen, we just hop on and we make such a big hoo-ha and we create the person, like we question and we tell them that, hey, you know this, why you're doing this. I'm not saying that you have no right to question, but you need to understand before you question another person's ability, look at yourself first. Because your own ability is reflecting on your own self. Before they're saying before you show one hand, look at 3 fingers, where is you showing? The more humble, on my previous topic, we talk about humility, right? Self-love is really about humility because even you know that you have a lot of great awareness, wisdom, and intelligence about being who you are. But always remember humility of being yourself. That creates the least of you to create more judgment about others and also attract that to yourself. You get what I'm saying? So the more you humble on looking at people, their ability, and give thanks and blessings for who they are, because everybody is walking in a certain journey. They walk through mistakes and failures to define that and also to bring that better from there. But that definition is not fixed. There's nothing fixed. We are so flexible human beings. We can be whatever we want, provided we align within ourselves with the love of divine, with the love of law of attraction, with the love of the energy around us. We got to tap in and feeling it and bring us out to evolve. The joy of living is to believe in your own ability without bringing anyone's judgment into you. The day when you keep bringing other people's judgment into you, it's really, really a barrier to your own growth. You have choice to hear and pick what is good for you. And you have choice to hear and let go what is not good for you. Because your indications of your emotion is your biggest teacher for what is good and right for you. And that's where your growth will start growing. You are good enough to be who you are, no matter what has happened in your life. You're the most inspiring human. Your amazing capability. The joy of living is being the human that we've been created, and enjoy that with others. Empower one another. All right, that's all. I hope today's talk brings you the inspirations that never put yourself in the box of that definition of judgment by others, and whatever that you have incurred based on your past mistakes or failures. You're not defined by that. You're defined by the process of waking up and moving and keep moving. And enjoying when you're doing that. All right, thank you so much. So before we end, I'm just going to say, next year is just around the corner. And here's just a little thing that what I do is, I'll always look out that what are the few values that I would like to see myself in the coming year. The values that I can bring better for within me, which I can share with everyone around me in Mother Earth. The values of being more kinder, being more calmer, being more loving. That's always been my active. And I realize when the more I put the value of every year I go by, and I'm growing with that. So we all have goals, right? So why don't you start? What are the great values you will like bring yourself towards moving forward? And how would you like to share it with everyone around you? So keep looking forward for greater year, for greater moments. Always believe the existence of it. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much. Thank you again to Joy Club. Thank you again to Gurdwara Sahib. And thank you to you for listening to me. Till we meet again, and a very happy new year to you. Blessings of love. Ta-da! Till we meet again.